All right, so we have just a couple minutes before our next session, and so as we're being flexible a little bit in our program today, I'm going to give you just a little bit of an introduction to the Southern Plains Transportation Center. You may hear a few more things this afternoon in our session after lunch, but we are the Southern Plains Transportation Center and are the lead host of this event. We are a regional university transportation center, as was mentioned by Dr. Bruner. We have 10 university partners throughout the Region 6 of USDOT, which includes Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, and New Mexico. And we are focused on improving the durability and extending the life of transportation infrastructure. And our focus in workforce development is kind of in that area as well. We do want to acknowledge the partnership with the Oklahoma DOT as well. They give us a lot of support, both financially as well as intellectually, emotionally, any kind of support that you can think of. They've always been there for us and are great partners in research and in workforce development. We also work to partner across the state with rural cities, tribal nations, all of the stakeholders in Oklahoma, as well as across the region. And one good example is that USDOT SMART grant that Dr. West mentioned, where we're looking at delivery of medical supplies using unmanned aerial systems. All right, the other thing is we listen to those stakeholders as we plan our work program. So in our current Cycle 4 research idea development, we highly encourage interaction with those stakeholders. We hold sessions to hear from those stakeholders. You all are here today. We hope to hear from you today relative to the needs of workforce development and what SPTC can do for you as we develop our work program for the next couple of years. All right, and so to give you just a little bit of context on why we do what we do, you all live, you all travel, you all had to get here this morning. You all know that transportation is key to mobility, economic vitality, and safety. There is a lot of infrastructure in our country. That infrastructure is aging. Some of those things have already mentioned today, and we are also dealing with extreme weather and all kinds of events that are happening. We live in a region that is very diverse, from southeast Louisiana, where hurricanes and humidity are big things, to northern New Mexico, where the weather is very different, if you haven't been to those two places. And we need to understand the impacts of all of those types of weather on our transportation infrastructure. There are also disproportionate impacts on the people in our region, in rural areas, tribal communities, low-income areas. Those weather events just hit differently sometimes because there's maybe only one route in and out of a particular location. The bridge gets taken out. It's hard for those folks to get to work. And then safety is always a huge part of any transportation network. There are many, many fatalities that happen every year due to crashes on our transportation network, and we would like to get those down to zero at one point in time. So to address these things, SPTC has the strategic goals to develop innovative, implementable, and affordable solutions to improve infrastructure durability and safety, as well as to train that next generation workforce, which is what we're here talking about today. We look to do that through some different focus areas related to novel materials, technologies, and tools, which kind of fits with what Dr. Bruner was saying relative to the needs for bridges. Also looking at extreme weather prediction and integration with design, construction, and maintenance, condition assessment, life cycle, and asset management. All of those go together to ensure that we have a longer lasting and durable transportation system. And then throughout it all is looking at the transportation as a system. Vulnerability, safety are all huge issues that we try to address here at SPTC. In addition to our efforts in SPTC, we also work closely with the Oklahoma Transportation Library. I can personally attest that they are a big part of the success of this center. They have great support from the Oklahoma DOT and are one of the top transportation libraries in the country. All right, so that's a little bit about who SPTC is and what we do and why we're hosting this event today. We care about developing the next generation workforce in transportation in Oklahoma. We have with us several UTC partners that are going to participate in the next panel, and I'm going to shift us to that point. So if you all would make your way to the front so that we can get started on our workforce development needs and regional challenges in a rapidly changing transportation sector UTC role. Let me get to the right spot on our slides here. It's right there, and I will let you all take it from here.
Thanks, Royce. There we go. All right. Well, thank you all. What a room. We are almost packed. I know we've got folks online. It is absolutely delightful to be with you here today. So my name is Dr. Hillary Nixon. I'm Deputy Executive Director at the Mineta Transportation Institute at San Jose State University. So as Royce mentioned, we're going to be talking about workforce development needs and regional challenges in a rapidly changing transportation world. But we talked about it being interactive, so I want to ask a question. So we've got a room here, it's got students and industry professionals, academics. Think back to, when you were in grade school and you were thinking about all kinds of careers and opportunities. How many of you knew that you were going to go into transportation? All right, okay, we got one. So that's probably not all that unusual. Many of us fell into transportation. I was on track to be a professional musician until I realized I was never going to be able to house and feed myself with my musical abilities. From my perspective, and many of the engineers in the room might think of this is a design flaw in our system when it comes to workforce development. So, we've heard from a couple speakers already, talked about the profound changes that the transportation structure is undergoing, and that our approach to workforce development in this environment really needs to be deliberate. We're transitioning from managing very traditional physical infrastructure systems, and we're still going to have those. We're still going to have roads and bridges and pavements and asphalt and concrete and all that kind of stuff, but we're now going to be overlaying that with incredibly complex data-driven systems. We're going to be adopting and implementing artificial intelligence, developing and deploying autonomous systems. We've got integrating smart infrastructure. All of this needs to be overlaid with an incredibly robust cybersecurity protection system to ensure safe systems. So how do we ensure that we have the workforce with the critical skills needed to do all of that and anticipate what that's going to be in 5 years? Many of us have probably heard about the acute workforce shortages that the transportation sector is facing. We've got retirements coming down the pipeline. We're competing with other sectors for, workers with many of those critical skills we're looking for. And at the same time, we're recruiting today for skills and technical abilities that are going to look very different 5 years from now. So how do we think about this? So this panel is going to touch on that. The rest of the day is going to touch on that. And I hope that as UTCs, we're going to continue to partner and collaborate on these issues. For our session today, what we're going to do is each one of us is going to do a very brief introduction, letting you know who we are and what our centers focus on as it relates to workforce development. And then we'll dive into the conversation. And I hope that we will have lots of time for questions. So, as moderator, I'm gonna, take the first introduction. Hope you guys don't mind. So, Mineta Transportation Institute, which is at San Jose State University, we were founded in 1991. We've really been part of the UTC program pretty much since its inception. And for us, Well, actually, many of you have probably heard that pipeline analogy when it comes to workforce development. And I think of a pipeline as a very linear structure. And for me, I want us to think about a pipeline that's got all kinds of leaks in it. We've got an awareness leak. Students don't know about transportation as a viable career. I certainly didn't know about it, and it took me a long time to find it. We've got a transition leak. Our students, we're graduating them, they've got the skills we think to go into transportation, and then they pivot and go somewhere else. And then we've got what I think of as kind of an earlier or a mid-career leak or drift. Our new hires leave within 5 years, or our mid-career professionals don't continue into leadership roles. So for us, we really think of this as a continued, connected continuum at MTI. We don't really think of it as just a single point of entry. We think of it or approach it as an intentional continuum. It's a lifetime system that we are building at MTI designed to plug those leaks. 4 stages, touch on them quickly, and then transition to my colleagues here on the panel. K-12, in fact, we go all the way down to preschool with our programs at MTI, really looking to build identity in the field for our youngest potential employees. Once we get into the university world, what we're really thinking here is how do we make sure we do that transition well, and we bridge the university classroom experience with real-world transportation careers, with research, with internships, with other hands-on connections with industry. And then for those early career professionals, we want to make sure we've got a program of lifelong learning to let them connect, engage, and network in the profession. And then as we transition into mid-career, really here, 2 fundamental programs we lead. We've got our graduate programs. We have what's known, and some of the industry has called it, an MBA for transportation professionals. But it's a Master of Science in Transportation Management, really designed to build leadership skills to move into those senior management leadership executive roles. And then we also have leadership academies. So from my perspective, the lesson is super simple. What we are doing is investing in multiple points of engagements, and we're intentionally connecting them. So moving on to my colleague, Amal Katak, the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Do you want to come up here, Amal, or do you want to take it from there?
Either one is fine.
All right.
All right, thank you very much. So my name is Amal Khatak. I'm a professor in the Department of Civil Engineering at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. My own area of research is safety. I'm the director of the Region 7 USDOT University Transportation Center, and we call it the Mid-America Transportation Center. Basically, the Region 7 comprises of Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, and Missouri. And our partners in this consortium are University of Iowa, University of Kansas, Missouri Science and Technology, University of Missouri St. Louis, and then Nebraska Indian Community College. We are obviously engaged in transportation workforce development and trying to address the shortages. We do offer a full workforce development pipeline, and starting with early STEM exposure to professional training. So we do have a program that's focused on middle school students, and then high school students, and then of course college students. Our program, Road Rails and Race Cars, that's for the middle school students. And then we do have a STEM Academy for high school students. And then a unique partnership with Nebraska Indian Community College is development of a Safe Driver Academy at Nebraska Indian Community College. And this is a unique program. I might get a chance at explaining what we are doing in more detail during the panel discussions. And then, of course, we are engaged in educating undergraduate and graduate students. So, thank you very much.
Thanks, Amal. Next, we have Dr. Muhammad Kareem, who's joining us from PacTrans at the University of Washington.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Muhammad Kareem. I'm a postdoctoral research associate at the University of Washington. The director of our center, Professor In Hai Wang, couldn't join here today. He sends his regret. But it is my honor to be here to represent PacTrans. And PacTrans is basically Region 10 UTC. We cover 4 states: Washington, Alaska, Oregon, and Idaho, these 4 states. So our geographic region is very unique. Here we need to deal with very busy cities like Seattle, Portland, and at the same time we have to deal with like the tribal nations, which has very little populations and very isolated population. So this geographic footprint, because of this, our research focus mainly on human-centric mobility. But even though if we do a great research, the research can be very useless, right, if we don't have capable workforce. That is the reason workforce development is one of the very core components from our center. And we developed Workforce Development Institute for taking the initiative to upskill our workforce. And we focus mainly on upskilling the practitioners that we have at the moment, instead of focusing on generating new graduates. That is also a part of our center focus, but we also, Workforce Development Institute tries to focus on how can we upskill whatever workforce we have, how can we like upgrade them so that they can don't lag behind in technology. I'm very glad to be here. Hopefully we are gonna have a very great discussion today regarding our workforce shortage and challenges and how to deal with this. Thank you.
Thank you. And of course we are going to have a great conversation. Next, my dear friend, Dr. Denver Tolliver.
Well, thank you. My name is Denver Tolliver. I'm the director of North Dakota State University's Upper Great Plains Transportation Institute. I'm also the director of our Region 8 Center, which is the Center for Transformative Infrastructure Preservation and Sustainability. I'll touch that first. Our 4 big focus areas are advanced asset management. We're particularly looking at automation of surface transportation condition assessment, smart materials, and bridge resilience. The Upper Great Plains Transportation Institute itself has a lot of programs related to rural and workforce development. We have a tribal transportation program. You're going to hear from Ron Hall, our tribal programs manager, a little bit later today, which includes the Northern Tribal Technical Assistance Program. We also do a lot of tribal outreach through our UTC. And then UGPTI itself has a strong program with permanent staff. In addition to that, we have the local technical assistance program. We do a lot of training in technical assistance, and we offer a lot of boots on the ground, road safety and management, road scholar program, innovative warrior, safety warrior. We also have a DOT design squad that we've had for, God, maybe 25 years. And we have a couple of North Dakota DOT employees co-located at university with us. And they actually mentor our engineering students in geometric design projects. And we do about 8, 10, 11 for the DOT each year. We also have an IT internship program for the North Dakota DOT, where we have computer science students in there as well. And we have a transportation learning network, which involves right now 4 state DOTs, which we have a huge program for DOT practitioners as well as tribal. And there's no charge to any tribal practitioner that wants to participate. So my 2 minutes are up, so I'll look forward to talking to you later.
I absolutely love hearing about the array of programs. And our final panelist, Dr. Joubert Alam.
Thank you so much, Hilary, and good morning, everyone. My name is Jubair Alam. I'm an associate professor at Prairie View A&M University in the Civil and Environmental Engineering Department, and also acting as the associate director of the National Center for Infrastructure Transformation. So our university is located at Prairie View, which is almost like 55 miles northwest of downtown Houston. So I say this often because when I talk with someone, so where is Prairie View? So when I refer is near Houston, they, oh, okay, now I understand where is that. So that's why I always try to refer Houston. So our center has multiple consortium partners. We have Texas A&M University, Texas Transportation Institute, which is known by TTI. We have Michigan State University, we have Rutgers University, and Arizona State University. And we have Blaine College District, which is very close to our campus, Prairie View. So our center focus on mainly infrastructure, durability, and resiliency, and technology, and also some policies. So we do a lot of research throughout our consortium partners and our university as well on AI-based smart monitoring and sensing system for infrastructure. And when I say infrastructure, it spans from pavement, from slopes, from levees, from dams, bridges, everything is included. So we have a very special IoT lab in our campus. We have a big structural lab, geotechnical lab, and we also do a lot of geophysical investigation, which we try to make a data fusion system so that we know a holistic process of the surface and the subsurface conditions. So we know how the system is working, our infrastructure is working. So we are very proud of our center, and I'm very happy to be here, and hope to have a very great discussion here today. Thank you.
Thank you all. So let's jump into the conversation. And I'm going to start with a quick, let's do kind of a lightning round robin. We'll go down the table. And if you could address the question, what is one critical workforce development need, challenge, opportunity in your region, and how is your UTC responding? Amal, you're in the hot seat. Is that mic on?
It's always nice to have a moderator that is handy with AV. So thank you very much. Hilary, do you mind repeating the question? Sorry.
Absolutely. So walk me through a critical workforce development need, challenge, or opportunity in your region, and how is your UTC responding?
I think one of the challenges is the change in technology. As we are all aware, there's just new technologies coming around all the time. The latest is AI. So I think one of the challenges, and I don't think it's specific to Nebraska or our consortium, it's all around is addressing the technological challenge, making sure that the developed workforce has the necessary skills to be able to function and address the needs of the society. So that's one of the challenges.
So thanks. Denver, what are your thoughts?
Well, we have a tremendous worker shortage in North Dakota. If you know anyone that wants to move to North Dakota and work, let me know. I'll be recruiting right here. It's particularly bad in ag and transportation. We have no choice but to automate, and we're going to have ag will be the first truly autonomous supply chain that there is, and we're going to be hopefully leading that charge. But we need to really retool our workforce training and development. I'm working with some of the autonomous vehicle industries right now, and they are laying out and articulating a curriculum which we hope to be able to implement in our North Dakota higher education system, not necessarily at the university level, but more at the two-year degree level. So that's it. Just getting workers, number one. We struggle with that, and getting workers that are going to live in this high-tech world.
Thanks, Denver. Mohammed, take us up to the Pacific Northwest. Oh. I'm going to use my IT tech support.
Okay.
My new job. I moved to North Dakota and do IT support.
Thank you, Hillary. The greatest challenge in our region would be like we have a brutal competition with the tech companies. Now, transportation is not just powering concrete or asphalt. It depends on like the technology, advanced emerging technologies, AI, sensing, data analytics. These work are taken over by Amazon or Microsoft, and our Seattle is the tech hub for them. So small companies like the agencies and the private sectors, they cannot compete with like Amazon or Microsoft by outpaying their employees. So this is one of the greatest challenges in our field. Like from our lab, most of the students after graduating try to get a job in the Microsoft or Amazon. That is creating a shortage in transportation sector as well. And in the tribal rural area, they have the limited funding and resources, and they also don't know what they don't know. So this is the gap as well in our regions. That is the reason we are trying to, within our workforce development institute, we are trying to develop like modular short courses so that we don't want to encourage students to be a software engineer, but they need to know what are the tools out there, what they can use in their daily workflow when during their jobs, wherever they're working. So this modular short courses are very helpful for them so that they get to know, they can be updated very frequently using the short courses. So this is one of the strategies that we are trying to implement in our region. Thank you.
Thanks, Mohammed. Jubair.
Thank you, and I will share my experience, what I have seen in the greater Houston area and all over Texas. So there's a lot of opportunities in the transportation sector, both in the public and the private sector, but this is good, at the same time this is bad. Why? This is good because once the student graduate, they have multiple openings in different industry, transport industry, and they get the offer and they enter the industry. At the same time, after 6-7 months, because I am in communication with many of my previous students, they say that he got another opportunity, but not in the transportation sector with huge salary. So what they do, they just shift their career entirely from transportation or maybe from civil to something else. Now, this is a problem because I have a lot of connection with my friends who work in TIWFDS, and they say that I have a lot of engineers who are here for maybe 1 year, 2 years, and once they are almost ready to take new challenges, they leave because they get new opportunities. So this is a kind of a problem I see in this Houston and the Dallas area, to be honest.
Thank you all. So, Amal, please.
Yeah, so another issue that I think is common across the region and perhaps nationally is the involvement of community in workforce development. And I think we've all been producing civil engineers, transportation, bridge, et cetera, structures. But really, and that does feed into addressing the workforce development needs. But nonetheless, I think community engagement at a deeper level is needed for us to be able to address some of the needs that are not really traditional needs, so to say. So one of the examples that and we are working on is food security. Nebraska does have a lot of economically depressed areas, and food security is an issue in those areas, but that's not a traditional civil engineering issue that we look into. So I think there is obviously need to think outside of the box, so to say. But I think more and more we need to involve the communities that we serve and address their real needs. And transportation, going back to the issue that we are working on, food security, transportation does play a big role in ensuring food security. So those are some of the challenges that are not traditional per se, but nonetheless, we do we can play a role in those, addressing those issues. And community, those are community issues. So.
Yeah, no, well, let's, you know, kind of piggyback on that when you talk about engaging with the community. And kind of more of an open question to the panel, and you all have to tell me who wants to jump in on this. But when you think about engaging with the community or partnerships, what kind of partnerships do you think have been most effective at your UTC? Do you have examples of maybe partnerships with state DOTs, MPOs, private sector, community colleges that you can talk about? So, all right, let's go Muhammad. He's looking eager.
All right, let me start with this one. So regarding the partnership, I believe partnership very important in our region. For example, we have the partnership with our Washington State Association of County Engineers. The reason of this partnership is that because we have our Workforce Development Institute, and we develop some of the courses for our community, but we need to know what is the need. So if we partner with the county engineers, then we get to know that, okay, what are the lackings from our county engineers? Like this way, because Washington State Association of County Engineers, they work across our Washington state, and that is the way we get to know in the rural areas as well, like in the rural areas what are the need as well. So to understand what is the need, the partnership is very important, especially if we have a partnership with your state agencies. And also, for our course offerings, we don't only rely on our academics professors. We invite, engineers from the feds and peers, like the private sectors, because then we get to know what are the proprietary software they're using, and that softwares our students or whoever are enrolling into Workforce Development Institute, they get to know about those softwares. Because technology is evolving very fast, so if we get involved, the existing practitioners, they can give their input, and this way it should be a two-way communication, and we can build an enriched workforce in our community.
Denver.
Yes, two big efforts that we have going on right now. In North Dakota, our outreach is largely targeted on tribal and rural communities. They're really spread across the state, a little population hard to get to. Ron Hall's going to talk a lot more about our tribal outreach as well, but it's a process that takes decades to really build and to be effective. It takes a continuous commitment and a shown sincerity. I know there's been a lot of, thankfully, a lot of universities are focusing on tribal now. We've been building that for 25 years. It's critically important to us, but it really has its own nuances, and I'll let Ron talk a little bit more about those. We have a transportation learning network, which is funded by the North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, and Wyoming DOTs, and we're going to add some other DOTs. We have an incredible set of professional training and certification programs that go with that, and we're just adding an engineering tech certification program. Most of those are online. They're remote. Some of them are in place, but it's absolutely critical to not only the state DOTs, but to the counties as well. So big outreach effort to the counties and even to the townships is important.
Thanks on that, Denver. Oh,
So with community engagement, I think it's important to reach out to the grassroots. So we do partner with, besides the transportation agencies, whether it's Nebraska Department of Transportation or City of Lincoln Engineering Department, etc. We work with other organizations. An example would be Lincoln Bike Kitchen, and it's an organization that actually provides free of charge bicycles to anyone in the community. So we work with them because, again, it's transportation. And if kids are able to get to school using the bicycle, that's, that addresses a certain need in the community. Other examples of working with community, we do have like Boy Scouts come and visit, or Cub Scouts come and visit our facilities. One of the transportation facilities in Nebraska, they do a lot of crash testing. It's the Midwest Roadside Safety Facility, and they actually crash a lot of vehicles. Well, kids are always interested in such stuff. So, so we make some of those tests available via Zoom, and the community gets kind of included in it. They find out what's going on. And so we've had our elected officials come and visit and witness the crash tests. So it's a great opportunity for us to get the community involved in the research that gets done. So it's not through our University Transportation Center, but nonetheless, it's a different facility, but engaged in transportation and engaged with the community. So these are just some examples that we have. And it's, again, thinking outside of the box, engaging with non-traditional entities that do have a role to play in transportation.
So that's great. I love those examples. I want to segue a little bit. And Jobert, I actually have a question for you, because I know that Insight and at Prairie View, you guys do a lot of work with industry and direct work with employers. So do you find that employers are really able to clearly articulate the skills, what they need? Or is there a bit of a disconnect between the university side of things and the industry employer side of things?
It's actually both, so let me explain. So that transportation is evolving very fast, and right now filling the positions in the industry or the DOT is not important. Adaptability is much more important. So they are getting, the students are getting the degrees in maybe civil engineering to enter the workforce, but they need much more skills in other sectors as well, because as I completely agree with Dr. Brunner earlier, he mentioned that transportation problems cannot be solved with one discipline. We need civil engineers, we need computer scientists, we need data scientists, because collaboration, communication, and ability to work across different sectors, that makes the transportation industry more effective. And students need to adapt to reskilling of their expertise. If they are graduating in civil engineering, it doesn't mean that he will not or she will not learn how to use the advanced data analytics system. So from the industry perspective, I have seen that they are kind of very happy that we are producing very effective graduates. And most of our graduates, they have some degree of advanced data analytics experience. So that is really helpful. At the same time, what I have seen that students sometimes, as I said, they try to shift their career. That's the problem. They just stay in the career for maybe a couple of years, and after a few years, they don't feel that, okay, I think I need to go to somewhere else, because I think I can do much better there. So industry, they have some limitations because they have some cap. So even they want to hire someone or keep someone in their office, they cannot do it because the demand from the student is high, and they feel that, okay, I can do much better in the other sector, and they leave. So that's the problem. So I feel like it's a kind of the collaboration is very important, and communication is important, and if we can train the students to work in different sectors, that will make them more effective for a smooth transition to their workforce.
Great, thanks. Denver, I want to ask you a question, because I know that there's been a fair amount of work in your region in the area on autonomous freight. And I'm wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about what you think about the impacts to workforce development you see coming from autonomous freight, and then how you think the impacts will be when you think about different regions, harsher climate experiences for autonomous freight.
Okay, thank you for that question, Hillary. First of all, I'll define autonomous rate to include not only ground modes, but air. And so in the future, we're already delivering medical supplies by drone, and with larger aircrafts in the future will be parcel delivery. So we'll be looking at a truly multimodal system. So what I see on the air side is we have a great program at the University of North Dakota. We have an aeronautics degree program offered. We have Grand Sky developing in the area where we're doing some of the first beyond visual line of sights. For drone deliveries, we actually did a test delivery onto the MHA nation of medical supplies. So we're going to be focusing heavily on the workforce development in that side to give the skills that are needed. And a lot of those are technical skills, but also internship programs are going to be critically important. On the ground side, railroads cannot be autonomous due to work rules, as people know, so we're focusing very much on autonomous trucks. And we have great partnerships with 4 or 5 of the big autonomous truck companies and partners for autonomous vehicle education. And I'm going to be working with them, asking them to put together sort of a workforce skills set and a potential training curriculum that we can implement. And then we'll be implementing that not only through our state university system, but we're going to include our tribal college partners in this as well.
Great, thanks. Mohammed.
I would just like to quickly add that climate and environment has a very good impact in our workforce skill set needed, right? Because, for example, autonomous vehicles, sensor maintenance. In our region, we have to deal with mountain passes, winter storm, like snow. So sensor maintenance would need different sets of skill set if you need to do the maintenance here in the southern part of the region. So climate has a very good impact in the region, so we should have like the regional skill set development strategy. Like, for example, in our region, we have to deal with this set of like de-icing, how to do the de-icing, how to do the maintenance in the heavy snowfall, but which is not required here maybe in Oklahoma, you don't need that. So we can focus on like how can we isolate and create some specific regional training.
Yeah, this is actually a great segue, because we heard earlier there are 170 universities, community colleges across the nation that are involved in the UTC program. We're touching the lives of an awful lot of students in every region of the nation. So I want to think, or maybe kind of drive the conversation to talk about how we as UTCs have been adapting and evolving our education and training to tackle and address these rapid changes. Jobert, I think I'll start with you. So how can undergraduate programs better prepare students for careers in state DOTs, transportation agencies, the transportation industry? And this is this is one of my favorite areas, particularly through hands-on practical experiences. I like to get down and dirty. I like to touch things.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. And sure. So the graduate and the undergraduate courses can really play an important role for the workforce to go to the industry in an effective way. So let me explain one situation. So I talked with one of my friends who is in the Text DOT. He said that, when we took this class and the professor taught us very fancy mathematical equation and formulation to derive something. And then once the semester is done, there's the end of that. But I have been in this industry for 9 years, and I am applying those knowledge, but from the practical perspective. I don't need the fundamentals. He's not saying that the fundamentals are not required. Those are required, but in the class, we actually almost 99% things we learned about the fundamental things. So he said that, and I completely agree with that. We have to have at least maybe 10 to 15% of applied skills, which is, application of the knowledge. Maybe it can be hands-on experience, can be field demonstration, maybe field testing, software-based analysis, maybe some real-world problem solving. So that's one of the things that triggered my mind. And when I see that I have a few of my students, they often call me. So Dr. Alam, how are you? So I'm doing this project, so what do you think about that? So we discuss about that, and then I ask him, can you give me some of the industry projects, of course, to the undergrad level, so that I can use that as a go-by for the students, and they will work on this project as their course project. To be honest, for the last 4 years, that has helped me a lot and helped the students a lot, because they are learning the fundamentals from the class, and at the end of the semester, last 4 weeks, when they work on that project, they see how the understanding of the fundamentals they are applying in the applied project. And when they enter the industry, I told them, you will have the same things. So whatever you are doing right now, you will do the same things, maybe in a different projects. So it has helped a lot. So, and also I have a prototype model, slope model just outside the campus. It's mandatory for my students in my classes that at the end of the semester, you go to that slope. Also, I go with them. And you look at the infrastructure and you ask questions. Whatever the direction of the question, whatever angles, maybe technical, non-technical, whatever you feel, you need to ask, and they have some percentage on that in field visit. And that helped the student a lot. And I believe 10 to 15% of the course should be designed so that they get the real world application of the problems. Fundamentals is very important. At the same time, application of that fundamentals is more important nowadays.
Well, I'd love to be one of your students. Amal, I want to pivot to you. And you mentioned in your opening remarks, you talked about you go all the way down into K-12, middle school, high school. I know at MTI, we've got a pretty robust K-12 program. So how can we as UTCs really build that sustained pipeline with no leaks? We don't want a leaky pipeline, of future transportation professionals going down all the way into that K-12 environment, giving them the hands-on skills that they are going to need.
So thank you, Hillary. So I did mention the technological challenge, but there's also another challenge, which is at what point do students enter into the pipeline? And the earlier they can enter into the pipeline, the better off we are. So I think it's important to start as early as possible. In our particular UTC case, we have a program called Road, Rails, and Race Cars, and it's geared towards middle school students. And essentially, it's our engineering students that we've recruited, they go out and offer this particular program as an after-school program in collaboration with the middle school teachers. And the teachers, so they are our partners, and we pay them for their involvement in the after-school program. But we do have a lot of things that the kids do on a weekly basis, building bridges, edible bridges, that they build a bridge and then kind of they get to eat it after they build it, and things of that sort. So it's basically to capture their interest in transportation, and so that they get engaged, and they it's not just an abstract idea, that they actually make things, break things, things of that sort. So once we get done with that stage, then at the next level, at the high school level, we try to engage them. We try to bring them onto the campus, because a lot of students have never been on a university campus. So we have a summer program for that, and basically we advertise it, and right now I think we are going to offer that program. We've been offering it every summer. This summer in June, we'll offer that. We already have about 60 or so applicants to the program. We cannot accommodate all of them, so it's kind of admission-based, but nonetheless, these students will come and stay on campus for 5 days. We put them up in the dorms, and then we have a program. Each year it's different. This year they'll get to go to Omaha Zoo, which is one of the best zoos in the country, and they will learn a lot about animals and how the zoo operates and whatnot. But last year, we took them to the Strategic Air Command Museum, so it's full of airplanes and everything like that. So each year, we try to do different things. But we do have a fairly extensive program. We get them into the engineering labs, and last year they built a water filter, for example, as part of, and then a shake table, so they have to build a structure that's stable in case of a earthquake. So we do this, and basically they are on campus. They get to see a university, and a lot of the kids have never been on a campus. So once we do that, so it's an investment, and we are hoping that these kids would then be interested in STEM and engineering and at the college level, whether they come to University of Nebraska or go elsewhere, hopefully they'll be interested in engineering and transportation in particular. So it's, like I said, it's the earlier you can get them into the pipeline, the better off you are, because if you start at the college level, well, then you are working with a smaller subset of students. So I think building the pipeline, having a program that engages them early on is important.
Thank you. Denver, I've got a question for you, but I'm also going to, after I talk to Denver, want to open it up. So start thinking about what questions you might have. You've been sitting there in your seats. You're probably all wiggly. I want to make sure we have time for audience engagement. So Denver, I loved what Amal talked about getting students early interested in transportation. But we have millions of existing transportation workers who are out there in a very rapidly changing sector. So one of the things that I'm hoping you can talk about is what we can do as UTCs to upscale things, upskill for existing workforce in this rapidly changing sector.
All right, well, thank you very much, Hillary. I talked a little bit about some of our workforce training earlier, and what we're doing through our Transportation Learning Network is we have 4 state DOTs, and they have identified a career learning pathway, set of pathways that we have turned into career learning programs. And so we have a combination of online modules, courses, and then supervisors can then track the progress of people in various tracks and see where they're going, look at them as ready for promotion in a few years. So we're trying to extend that model out to counties and to tribal folks as well, and to bring them in. But the key thing is that the DOTs themselves are telling us what the curricula should be. And then we are going and finding it. Costs us money sometimes, but we find the subject matter experts and we bring them together. And so we have this program, and it's recognized steps. There's recognized certificates as a result of it. It's viewed by the supervisors as recommendations for promotions and progress.
Great, thanks. Well, I could stand up here, I'm a professor, I could talk for hours, and this is a great group, but what questions do you all have? Oh, Arif. Oh, for online, my guess is online folks will want you to use the mic.
So I think we are having a good discussion, but based on your experience, how do we really track that the workforce development initiatives, the examples you mentioned, what are some good ways to track that they're going on the right track?
Oh, so evaluation, tracking.
Assessment, and so on.
So what are my friends on the panel doing to make sure we are actually making a difference?
I'll go back to our system right now. We track the employees, we track what they learn, we track their promotions, we track where they're going, and their supervisor evaluations about what they have learned then come back to us. We also, of course, do follow our students that graduate, and we survey them as well and try to understand where they're going and what their careers are.
Thanks.
So from our center, what we do is any student graduate from any projects funded by our center, We take their social media link, especially the LinkedIn. We interview them, okay, did you get a job? If they get, then we take this information and we have their phone numbers and their emails, their personal emails as well, because once they graduate, maybe their university email is no more activated. So we track all these, and time to time, at least I communicate with some of the students how they are doing, and if they are in the same company or they are in moving to the new company. So we track all this, and we have this almost more than 15 students so far graduated from our center, and we are tracking everything.
So the other questions? Musharraf, and then we've got one in the back. Oh. Sorry. We'll catch you later, Musharraf.
Good morning. I know that a lot of the panelists have stated that they've engaged the tribes in their local areas and stuff. Do you know the specific agencies you work with? Is it like their Tribal Employment Rights Ordinance or TARO? Or is it more or less their WIOA programs that they may be either 166 or 477 types of programs? I'm just curious to see, because we have some here in Oklahoma, and I think there are some up in the Northwest, and I'd definitely say out West too, but I just want to see how you guys are engaging them, because they work with apprenticeships a lot of times, and engaging, our local workforce and developing those skill sets that you guys are talking about. But as we go along and stuff, it just depends on certain areas where people engage them. I'd say here in Oklahoma, on the east side of Oklahoma State, it's great. On the west side over here, not so much. So I'm just saying, as partners and stuff, it's wonderful to hear that you guys are engaging them, but how do you guys report with them as well? I mean, do you provide them static reports as well, are they, as a partner with each other, or just to get a little bit more knowledge on like how do you guys actually work with the tribes? Thank you.
Well, I'll start first, and Ron will talk about this extensively, is through our Tribal Technical Assistance Program, we interface directly with 28 tribal nations, I believe, or is it 27 or 28, Ron? Something like that. I want to increase the budget for that somehow, but Ron goes around and visits with all of them, and not every year, but every other year. In terms of the workforce development aspects of it, we also have a great tribal college system in North Dakota that we work with very closely. In fact, the United Tribes Technical College is one of the members of our consortium. And so we're constantly reaching out to them and trying to see what can we do to help and facilitate and train. And one of the things that we started, and Ron can talk about this a little too, is a CDL training unit at our Tribal Technical Assistance Program, because there's a tremendous truck driver shortage in North Dakota. It's crippling tribal nation economies that's doing so. So those are some of the things that we're trying to work around to. With respect to TARO, I'll let Ron talk about that a little bit more, but it's also important that we try to work with some of the larger organizations, and Ron is working with the TRB committee, Standing Committee on Tribal Transportation. We're also going to be launching some efforts to work more closely with all the other regional UTCs that have tribal programs. And this is a great example where my colleague here, Ms. Arif, has put this together.
Great.
Also, I'm from Nebraska, so there's a state agency in Nebraska called the Nebraska Commission on Indian Affairs. So we work through them, and also to some extent directly. So I'll talk about our partnership with the Nebraska Indian Community College. It's a public institution, but predominantly serves Native American students. I think 85% of the student body is Native. So we started work way back in 2018 with, through Nebraska Commission on Indian Affairs, and we started working with Nebraska Indian Community College. We held a summer camp for their students where they would come and learn about, after they finish their associate's degree, if they wanted to continue in college. So we used to have a summit for them. And we slowly started building our partnership with them. And so I've worked with the president of the Nebraska Indian Community College. And when back in 2022, when we were preparing for our present grant, then we actually decided to have them as a partner on our team, and we actually are working on developing a Safe Driver Academy that will operate on at NICC. And in fact, there is the director for that program, I believe, Michael Berger might be here. Can you raise your hand? Okay, thank you very much. So Michael is working on developing the Nebraska Indian Community College Safe Driver Academy. And essentially the program is meant to provide students the opportunity to train as commercial motor vehicle drivers, and it basically provides a job opportunity for the students, but so it addresses, you know, that need, but also there's a nationwide shortage of commercial motor vehicle drivers, so this initiative addresses that need as well, and I believe it's a unique program, at least in the UTC area.
Thanks, Amal. I want to make sure we get to another question. So Musharraf.
Yeah, so I think we often talk about success, you know, what we are doing, what is working. We don't talk as much about failure. You have tried something, it did not work. So would it be possible for at least one of my UTC colleagues to talk about what you tried and did not work? Thank you.
That's a great question. Who wants to tackle something that might not have turned out the way you had expected it to?
Well, I think it was about 25 years ago when I first started working with tribal nations. Of course, I was 14 years old then, but I learned immediately that technology transfer is not the way that we do it with state DOTs and counties. And so I developed some road safety and planning models for the tribes in North Dakota, Minnesota, and South Dakota, and they loved the models. And then they said to me, Denver, how often are you going to run these models for us? And then I realized very quickly that the internal capacity just didn't get there. And so I shifted my philosophy completely to one of human capacity building. That's my goal right now when I work with tribal nations. Not to provide them with the next best technology, not to teach them how to do advanced models, but to build the internal capabilities for them to manage and operate their own transportation systems. So a big learning lesson.
Does anyone else? I was going to say, I have one to share.
So, I mean, anything that I've tried has been successful, so. No, I think it's a learning process for all of us, and especially working with the Native community, I've learned a lot of things, and if you get involved with that, you'll find out that it's altogether a different world. So it's been a learning process for me for the past many years, and it's been very rewarding as well. But there have been challenges in establishing a relationship, a working relationship with the Native community. So, but like I said, it's been very rewarding. I've learned a lot of things, and it's just altogether a different world.
I'm going to share one of my examples of something that didn't work out quite as I had anticipated, and then we'll transition to closing remarks. So we have a middle school program. It's a kids competition. I think it's a fabulous program. But you know the old adage, build it and they will come? We built it and they did not come. So what we learned was we couldn't just put something out there and hope that people would discover it and come and participate and engage. We now have a dedicated paid liaison that goes to the schools, that promotes the program, and we've built it from maybe 3 schools participating up to, I think we have 30 or 40 schools now participating in the competition. But don't just assume because you've got something great that's out there that people are going to flock to it. So I want to transition to closing remarks and then send you all out on a break. So I'm going to challenge all of my panelists here, one sentence from each. I'm going to start Jobert and move this way. What is the single most important action we should take in the next 3 to 5 years to strengthen the transportation workforce?
I think we should design the curriculum or the workforce in a way not only to meet the immediate needs. We need to focus on adaptability, and we need to make sure that our next generation workforce become technically strong, digitally aware, and of course professionally versatile.
Thank you. Mohammed.
Invest in our current workforce so that they don't lag behind the technology and AI and technology, so that these are evolving very fast. So we need to keep them updated.
Thank you. Denver.
I agree with all that, but I'll go back to your point, Hillary. We have to engage the community college system in our overall transportation workforce development program. They are critical, they're growing. That's where a lot of the students are going to be. A lot of the jobs in the future are not going to require a 4-year degree. They're not going to require someone to do research. So we really have to build that partnership out.
And last but not least, Amal.
So I think we need to engage the community at large, not just community colleges, and I agree with that, everything that's been said, but community at large needs to be involved, and it's not an overnight thing, it's a process. It takes years to develop the relationships, whether those are foundations or community organizations. You have to get engaged with it, and at the end of the day, it's the community that we serve, so they have to be engaged in it.
Thank you all so very much. A big round of applause for our panelists.